You chose absolutely right tuning in to Rwanda Television News tonight. We do hope you had yourselves a productive day as well as a great start to a brand new week. And now this is what is coming up. The government of Rwanda has pledged to promote the Kigali International Peace Marathon and make it one of the top marathons globally starting next year, 2024. In the last 2 months, more than 250,000 people who had enrolled for driving license exams began taking their tests. A very good evening to you and welcome to Rwanda Television News with me, Sam Akalisa. As we begin our tonight's edition, let us inform you that the 14th group of 134 refugees and asylum seekers evacuated from Libya has safely arrived in Kigali. They are from different countries, as 64 are from Eritrea, 35 are from Sudan, 15 from Somalia, 17 from Ethiopia, 2 from Cameroon and 1 from Mali. They will be accommodated in the Gashora Transit Center that hosts other evacuees who arrived before. Ahead, the government of Rwanda has pledged to promote the Kigali International Peace Marathon and make it one of the top marathons globally starting from next year, 2024. We have more. The Ministry of Sports on Monday announced plans to level up the Kigali International Peace Marathon to make it one of the most renowned and athletic competitions worldwide. Sports Minister Orodemimosa Munyangaju noted that following the increment of the price from $4,000 to $20,000, there are more measures in place to promote the competition even further.
kugira ngo urwego ruzamuke hari ibintu byinshi bisabwa usibye gusa n'ibihembo ariko n'uburyo mutegura iri rushanwa.
The loan was to be paid in 2 years and 4 months. I used to pay 40,000 every month and I was only done with 2 months. And seriously speaking, I cannot say that the fund supported me in any means because everything that I had was perished. And yet recently, when the date of payment reached, they wrote to me asking to pay back. I tried to explain, but they insisted that I have to. Most of the citizens were affected. Those in agriculture were given agricultural inputs, and others are to be supported. There is a plan to support them to return to normal lives, but also to support their livelihoods.
On Monday, Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente received Hamad Kalbaba Malboum, President of the Confederation of African Athletics, who was in Rwanda for the Kigali International Peace Marathon. Hamad Kalbaba reiterated that the Kigali International Peace Marathon is beneficial not only for Rwanda, hence should be promoted to a global level.
What I saw yesterday, for example, is that the Kigali International Peace Marathon is a very important event for Africa, of course for Kigali, but for Rwanda, but most importantly for Africa and for the world of sports. We need to make it better. We need to attract the world to come to Kigali for the next events. And that we discussed the issue with the Prime Minister. He is ready to support that event by increasing the prize money and by giving the strong support to the Federation and to the Ministry of Sports to make it a very successful and high-level sporting event. So I can say that I'm happy to hear what I heard from the Prime Minister and also my discussion with the Minister of Sport, a young lady, a dynamic lady. So we will, as a sports movement in the continent, and also beyond that, we will support the effort that Rwanda is doing for promoting sports for health, sports for competitions, and then sport for bringing people together for sharing the main value of peace and understanding among the citizens.
Hamad Kalbaba further disclosed that an athletics center of excellence will be built in Rwanda in the future, thanks to the country's leadership that strives to promote sports.
First of all, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Mr. Paul Kagame, who decided to receive me by the Prime Minister of the country, and we discussed the issue of how Rwanda, in Rwanda, we can set up a high-performance training center for athletics, and then how the leadership of Rwanda could help the development of our sport in the continent.
Since 2005, the Kigali International Peace Marathon brings together thousands of local and international athletes, and the general public gets to participate in the marathon in a section commonly known as Run for Peace. This year, more than 8,000 participants were registered from 48 countries, including Rwanda. In the last 2 months, more than 250,000 people who had enrolled for driving license exams began taking their tests, as this will also apply for those with codes that were issued between June 12, 2023 and June 28, 2024, according to the Rwanda National Police. Adam Squizera.
The one-day discussion centered on issues pertaining to cross-border tax evasion as well as leakage currently experienced among the respective countries, including Rwanda. It also aimed at widening scope on the international taxation. Delegates took upon them to explain potential advantages of international taxation, among others including transparent and fair tax systems, making it easier for international businesses to operate in Rwanda. Bizimana Pascal Ruganintwari, he expounds more on gains the country is expected to reap from this system.
There's are tax systems on an international level that are new in Rwanda, given that we observed some tax leakages due to absence of some tax policies. The success of these new systems will attract investors and everyone's contribution as well, which is why we decided to start an awareness workshop in order to address national interests for Rwanda in particular.
Subsequent to the tax adjustments that were approved during the Rwandan Council of Ministers upon presidential orders recently, as a member state of the Global Forum, Rwanda will be advantaged in such a way that there will be creation of a good investment climate, increasing the number of foreign investors in Rwanda, as narrated by the senior specialist in domestic resource mobilization in the African Tax Administration Forum, Anthony Munanda.
I think what this help many countries to do is to provide tax certainty. Many businesses want to invest in a country where the tax laws are quite certain. There are laws which they are implemented elsewhere, and therefore that promotes a very good climate for investment. So that's one benefit Rwanda would get by having some globally agreed standards, and therefore means businesses then they don't have very different rules, and therefore they will be obviously be finding the jurisdiction quite attractive. That's one. Secondly, it is true there is still a lot of base erosion and profit shifting behavior by some multinationals, and therefore Rwanda as a government being part of this conversation and setting those global standards, stopping that behavior, then the country is able to generate its own domestic resources by making sure that multinationals pay a certain fare of tax in the jurisdiction. So just in summary, there are two things: collect fair tax for multinationals and promote a good investment climate because you have some good laws in the country.
The economic attaché of the European Union delegation in Rwanda, Natalia Waldhaber, says this workshop adds on to several other joint projects in which European Union has been supporting the Rwandan government, including building capacity of Rwanda Revenue Authority.
We've been supporting Rwanda Revenue Authority through a number of projects and programs, strengthening their capacities, helping them with policy making, and kind of supporting them in the way of increasing revenue, tax revenue via GDP collections in the country. So this event is really an opportunity for us to engage with all the relevant stakeholders, to share information, to increase awareness. We are focusing today on international taxation. In the afternoon we will also be talking about international taxation vis-a-vis investment policies in the country, which we also very much support. So our ambassador was here this morning delivering opening remarks,
The Global Forum on Transparency and Exchange of Information on Taxation has been implemented across 168 member states, including Rwanda. This initiative has been spearheaded by the G20 member countries in a bid to increase international taxation base amongst world countries. Shinateta, RTV News.
Thank you, Shinateta, for the report. And a bit of correction. This was a report about the Rwanda Revenue Authority that is in conjunction with the European Union delegation here in Rwanda to launch the campaign to introduce new tax systems in Rwanda. And the awareness aims at equipping a wide range of stakeholders in international taxation. And Rwanda is looking forward to cooperating with other countries in cross-border taxation in accordance with international standards. Now, moving ahead to this other previous report, in the previous 2 months, more than 250,000 people who had enrolled for the driving license exams begin their exams.
Rukundo Mujeni Ornella, who is planning to start university in September, is among of the people who want a permanent driving license without any bribery or corruption, as some pretend.
There are
some who say that it is difficult unless you have someone to push you. For instance, here, I don't know anyone. Even in our family, we don't have any policeman. For me, I just only had confidence, and God did it. On the other hand, there are those who demonstrated the challenges they might face from this data extension. I was supposed to start to learn in June or July because I had exam code of August. As you know, to get money is another challenge, as we even had scarcity of vehicles, hence to poor preparation of the exam. According to the police spokesperson, they have increased the number of police officers for conducting driving license exams, as well as the number of sites throughout the country. The days for exams were also increased to 6 days, and they even extended the hours from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a better service delivery, as the spokesperson of the Rwanda National Police, CP John Bosco Kabera, demonstrates the advantage of these reforms. When you are not well prepared to do an exam, we request you to get prepared for it. Like you heard that we are going to conduct exams for the people who had the course of July or August. So for this case, we request you to get prepared first. Send to people who says that there should be a second chance for a person who failed one category of an exam. If we do so, this might cause road accidents or violent traffic laws. So they have to understand this, as we wish them good luck. Those who are working for temporary and permanent driving license for all vehicles are more than 250,000, as they are made up of those who have been given exam code from 12th June 2023 to 28th June next year, 2024. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adams. The Rugerero camp at the Nyamira-Mihigo site, which is one of the camps that has been accommodating people that were affected by the disasters, has now been closed, and now the majority of the residents have returned to their original homes.
At the Rugerero camp, which is located in the Nyamira-Mihigo site, it is a campsite that accommodated the victims of the recent disasters that hit the northern, western, and southern provinces of the country last month. Whereas the majority of people have been here have returned to their homes, as others have been facilitated by the district. Nyirahaimana Beatrice says that after her house was destroyed by the recent disasters, she later found herself in the Rugerero camp. Beatrice and her neighbors appreciated the government's role in supporting them during these hard times. After relocating from the camp on Sunday, they provided to us basic house equipments, food, and house rent fee worth of 105,000 Rwandan francs. The administration of Ruaf district has recently announced that these camps will not be there for a long time, since they also planned a way to support them. As Nzabonima Deogratis, the acting mayor of Ruaf district, points out. Even those buildings that face disasters are not allowed to be renovated. That's why we urge all residents to understand this very well. By considering the district's master plan, there is a site that was made for the local infrastructures suitable for the residents. Meanwhile, we will get them to those sites. This Rugero camp at Nyimanyugo site used to accommodate over 4,500 people, and now it is closed. Due to that, the majority of residents hopping there return to their homes. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
Dr. Yusta Kaitesi, the Chief Executive Officer of the Rwanda Governance Board, RGB, underlines that holding or hosting international conferences is very beneficial to Rwanda as the country, as it allows for discussions around global issues.
This was reiterated by the Chief Executive Officer of RGB, while from June 12th to 14th, Rwanda will host a global summit that will be aimed at discussing various problems facing the world and exchanging ideas on what can be done to address those problems sustainably.
This dialogue and many more to come are really going to be spaces for opportunity. I think when we invested as a country in the mice industry, the intention was we understand the importance of dialogue. We understand the importance of engagement for us to be able to generate ideas that can transform the people that we serve. So in this Kigali dialogue that we are honored to co-chair, we hope to indeed find new ideas, find new partnerships. I think partnership is the way to go. Rwanda has chosen, among other priorities, the pursuit of togetherness in a way that when we sit together and find togetherness, we are able to confront the challenges in a way that is consensual, in a way that really doesn't undermine any of us.
This is going to be a third time that Kigali has hosted the international meeting known as the Kigali Global Dialogue. The president of the Observer Research Foundation, or RF, Dr. Samir Saran, pointed out that the desire of this organization for Kigali is to be a forum of the world's ideas.
We are also doing more countries. I remember the first time around we had 50 countries. This time around we have 72 countries who are represented here through experts. So there is far greater and diverse participation at the conference, and that is also one way of thinking about the growth of a conference. And the third and final way of looking at a growth of a conference is what happens outside the conference, and that is the non-tangibles. Which you don't always measure. Is this going to result in some Indian startup investing in Rwanda? Is a Rwanda startup going to get source of money from a UAE investor who they met at this conference? I am trying to make myself understandable, relatable. I am trying to converse in a manner in which I can be understood. I was just thinking to myself that when I come to Rwanda, I am myself. I feel at home. They get me. That's what I think to myself. So when I talk about certain issues, they understand me.
This meeting is going to take place as currently India is chairing the G20, which means that the relationship this country has with Africa and Rwanda as well can be a trigger for making decisions that are in the interest of African countries. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
On Monday, the Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies, Honorable Mukabalisa Donatil, received the delegation of deputies from the Zimbabwe Parliament who came for a study visit on matters related to Rwanda's health budget and how it is implemented. The Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies, Donatil Mukabalisa, noted that through the discussions that were held, both sides are going to benefit from each other.
They came to learn from Rwanda about the responsibilities of those both commissions related to health matters and insurance, as well as the budget we put in the health sector and how we implement it. As through discussion, we will also benefit something from them, as we really appreciate the relations between both countries, since we even established a team for cooperation between the two countries, which literally shows the willingness of developing both parliaments.
The acting chairperson of the Committee on Health and Child Care from the Zimbabwe Parliament, Honorable Peter Maturase, pointed out that they have learned a lot from Rwanda through this study visit.
We understand you have got a very good financing model on health, including health insurance. So, as a country, we have come to understand you and try to apply those good principles to our country so that we can improve the health financing systems of our country, Zimbabwe. That's why we are.
And on behalf of the entire news production as well as the technical team, many thanks for being with us on this edition of Rwanda Television News. Up until next time, stay safe and have a great week ahead. Goodbye.